Hello, everyone, and welcome to Old World Tech Fridays, episode 12. Changed the intro up a little bit to mix things up a bit, so hopefully y'all enjoyed that. It's a little bit different. It's a little more upbeat. So
I don't
I
know.
am.
I felt like a 8-bit character. I felt.
That's right. That's right. I felt very animated
I did too.
in all 8 of the bits.
At least we don't look
So
like 8-bit characters, so
that's true. That's true. The bandwidth is a little too good to be 8-bit currently. So I know there's a ton of people out there that do normally watch that are at K-Fest. So I know there's a few less people in the chat that are physically at K-Fest. So hopefully they all seem to be having a good time. Ron's posted a ton of shorts and little update videos and stuff like that.
and hopefully
I don't know.
we did have an update from K-Fest. Poor Joe, he's caught COVID.
Yeah, he got COVID
K-Fest.
from K-Fest.
So,
but he says he's doing okay.
Yeah.
Seems mild. So everybody wish Joe a speedy recovery. But yeah, so those of you who were able to join us, thank you so much for joining us. Trina, who's in the chat today?
Who do we have in the chat? We have DJ Craze. Hi, DJ Craze.
Hey, how are you?
We have Eric's Edge. We have
Eric.
Der Gutbaum. Because every time I see Gut Bomb, I always think of it in a German accent, which I mentioned today on John's stream.
Your role.
We also have Retrotech Chris and Joe. Oh no, sorry, that was Chris. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, Joe got COVID. So we're all sending him healing vibes tonight. And I told him when he was mentioning that somebody had tested positive that had been there a few days earlier. I said on Steve's stream that he should. If I was him, I'd turn around and go back home. But he went anyway.
So. It is what it is. It is not. You
yeah.
know, it's out there. We got to live with it now. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So.
Yep.
It's
but glad that it's mild.
Yes, indeed. You identify the risk and you feel what if you want to take the risk, and if not, you don't need to. So
and Gut Bomb, I'm right there with you. I love burritos as well.
Yes, there's
same as condoms.
Exactly, just like condoms.
Sorry.
What
exactly?
Burritos are like condoms? What? Wait.
What? No. Take the risk. You can choose to be precautionary, take a risk. You know, like the mask thing. You know.
Yeah. No. I get it. I'm just teasing back.
And Eric says, "Who doesn't like burritos?" I agree, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are all you fine people this evening?
Yeah, how is everybody in chat land out there?
Well, I meant you guys, but chat.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? It's been a long freaking week.
Yeah, it's been quite warm here. We're not used to this type of heat in this neck of the woods. So.
Well, pretty soon you'll be buried up to your necks in snow. So.
True. It's still better than snow, but yeah, I had to break out the air conditioner, install 2 new air conditioners in the house, so that was fun.
Yeah, it's actually gotten cooler here, and I was able, because work's been kind of slow today, so able to take off an hour early. So that was nice.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is always a good thing.
And I might have a new client from work.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
New clients are fun.
I went to pick up a desktop today, and the woman that I was picking it up from, she's like, I know you guys don't deal with personal computers. And I'm like, well, speaking of which, I do. So she's gonna bring, it's a computer tower, so she's gonna bring it Tuesday when she's in next Tuesday, and I'm gonna take the computer back and pick up hers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a storm wherever DJ Craze is. He says he's hoping the storm stops. If not, he might vanish at any moment. So good luck to you.
It stormed here off and on today.
Hopefully it's not a tornado or anything. So
yeah, we had thunder showers last night. which helped clear the air a lot.
We had a
today.
funnel cloud appear here on the island.
Yeah, I
Oh,
heard.
wow.
Yeah, I can like literally count in my entire life how many times we've seen a funnel cloud, and the answer is twice. And this is the second time.
And you didn't get whisked off to Oz.
No, I didn't end up in Kansas Fest. I was a little bit upset. Not
Yeah,
gonna
there.
lie.
Yeah. I
Not
just
gonna
want to go
lie.
home to Kansas Fest.
Yeah, there's no. Well, I didn't have my sparkly shoes on. See, that was the problem. Right. Cool. So Frodo, typing
Yes,
furiously over there.
furiously typing.
What are we discussing this evening? What's the
So we
what's the
got a
plan?
few different things. So I figured I would go over the today in tech history, like I did last week's episode. I thought
Yeah.
that was kind of neat. A lot of good
Yep.
tidbits of something different. So, starting with Sunday of this week, July 16th, 1969, Apollo 11 is launched from Cape Kennedy in Florida, on the way to becoming the first space mission to land men on the moon.
Nice.
Monday, July 17th, 1850, the first photograph of a star is taken at the Harvard Observatory. The star photographed was Vega in the Lyra constellation, which is the second brightest star in the northern hemisphere.
I
Cool.
was there. I was there for that.
I was just about to ask you if you had witnessed that or if you
Mhm.
just read the scrolls when they came by Raven. So yeah, that's good.
Look at Bougie over there with his ravens. Us
I
common,
know.
us common folks with pigeons.
I had,
Ooh, he's got ravens.
but I was living in Halifax at the time, so it was seagulls.
Right.
It wasn't an African swallow.
No.
July 17th, 1970, Ralph Baer demonstrates the video game system he invented, simply called the Brown Box, to Magnavox Engineering Production and Marketing Management in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Previously, Baer had demoed the Brown Box to many other TV manufacturers, including RCA, GE, Zenith, Sylvania, and Magnavox themselves without any licensing agreements. A licensing agreement with RCA was written but canceled in March of that year. It was the demo of Magnavox's VP of marketing that eventually led to the creation of the first home video game system, the Magnavox Odyssey, and the birth of the video game industry here. That was July 17th, 1970. Also, July 17th, 1975, the Apollo and Soyuz dock.
Voice doc, yeah.
For some reason, I have a hard time saying that word.
Soyuz.
Successful, yeah. So the Apollo 18 and the Soyuz 19 successfully dock in orbit, and the astronauts and cosmonauts shake hands. This marks the first time in history that spacecrafts of two nations dock in space. Apparently, July 17th was just a huge day all around. July 17th, 2002, Steve Jobs introduces Apple's now ubiquitous calendaring software, originally named iCal, for Macintosh computers.
So that's the calendar that we have now. Is that
That's built into the Mac OS. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Oh, cool.
Before that point, we never had any calendars.
Never,
At all.
never.
No.
At least,
Not
at
a
least,
single
at least
calendar.
Apple would make you would make you think that. Calendars didn't exist.
Indeed.
Oh, and
Uh,
Sloopy, sorry, just to touch your point. And hi, Sloopy and Retro Techie. I'm just dreaming of you. That's why I'm smiling.
Dreaming of murdering.
Also, July 17th, another one. This is 2014. Happy World Emoji Day.
Oh.
Emojis had become so popular they actually decided to found World Emoji Day. So moving on, July 18th, 1968, Intel is founded by Bob Noyce and Andy Grove and Gordon Moore. Incorporate Intel in Santa Clara, California.
Bob just died this past month, didn't he? Or the month
Yeah.
before? Yeah.
Just recently, yeah.
Yeah.
And then July 19th, 2000, Apple introduces the G4 Cube Power Macintosh. At the time of introduction, it was one of the smallest desktop computers ever produced, while not considered a normal commercial success. It did find a small dedicated following and was a foreshadowing of the future Apple designs. It was an interesting, change of pace there for Apple in 2000. July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11 lunar module successfully landed on the moon, known as the Sea of Tranquility, in the area that it landed on the moon. Upon
Frank, can I interrupt you for 2 seconds?
Yep.
Allegedly.
Well, of
Continue.
course.
And can anybody name 3 of the famous seas on the moon?
Uh,
That wasn't covered by Futurama.
You named one. You had Sea of Serenity, so you're right there.
That's the first I had heard of it.
I don't remember. It was
that's not
actually,
one for me.
if anybody watched
Hey, John.
the Big Fat Quiz of Everything, that was
Mhm.
actually a question on the show, and be darned if I can remember 3 of them. But
Yeah,
they're along
that's the
those
first I
lines
had
of
heard
like
it.
Tranquility. I think Serenity is one.
I thought it was, the side of the Russian landing craft that we were told didn't exist.
Unless it was on
3 Cs on the side of it.
Unless it was on Joss Whedon's Firefly. I had known nothing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the last one, today, July 21st, 1999, Apple introduced the first iBook laptop, the first mainstream computer designed and sold with built-in wireless networking.
And that was
Ooh.
that the white iBooks back in the day? Or
That's
were
the clam book,
Or
yeah.
the clam book, sorry. The clam
The
book.
clam books, yeah.
Clamshells,
Yep.
not clam books.
Yeah.
Clamshells.
Yeah, because the white ones were the G4s.
No, they were G3.
They had white and the titanium, right?
Yeah, the titanium was the G4, but the white iBooks came in G3. And
Oh, I didn't know. I thought they started in 4.
Oh, and also just to say hi,
Interesting.
we have Big Bad Biologist joined us, Mark Ophobe,
We have a few new people joined in.
who apparently knows Ryan because he said
Yeah.
hello, Ryan.
Mark is actually the guy who owns the iMac, Frank, that needs the slot loading drive.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
And I did find that it is for sure slot loading. So
Perfect.
yes.
Although I believe you used the wrong
great
term when you
success.
described
you
it.
used
but
the
yes.
wrong term in the chat.
I did.
Yeah.
My autocorrect dictionary is completely different than anybody else. I understand.
Yeah,
I see that.
What are you talking about these days?
Yeah. So yeah, that's today in history. So
Cool.
Awesome.
of
Also, there's
fun
one
tidbits.
little fact there that Chris pointed out. July 19th is National Hot Dog Day.
Oh, that's good. Who doesn't like a good hot dog?
All right.
Yeah.
Nothing like
That's
a
right.
questionable wiener.
That's right.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
So Ryan, what do you got for today?
Today, well, originally I had 2 things that I want to talk about, but then we had a sad announcement. One of
We
the,
did.
I guess, for anybody who's been in the IT business or IT world for any time in the last 30 years, would have heard the name of Kevin Mitnick. Kevin was one of the how we describe him, I guess, fathers of modern cybersecurity. And it was only through his actual hacking skills that I think cybersecurity became a thing. He is actually quoted as being the what's the word, muse, if you will, for the 1982 movie War Games. So it's not based on his life per se, but it's some of his antics that happened in 1979 were used as sort of
The backbone.
backstory, if you will, backbone of the War Games movie. So Kevin died of a year-long battle with I believe prostate cancer, or I think it was prostate. Anyway.
Yeah. Hold on. Was it? I got the article up here for a second.
Yeah, I had it up there. Pancreatic cancer.
Thank you.
Yeah, pancreatic cancer. So that's a terrible disease. We always say fuck cancer. But at 59, I think he's still way too young to have passed. But he's written some fantastic books. If anybody ever gets a chance to read any of sort of his somewhat autobiographical books about his time, and anybody remembers that in 1995 there was a manhunt. There was a manhunt for him. He was wanted by the FBI. He was later arrested later in 2000 or 1995, where he ended up being in prison for 4 years without a trial. So he's actually an example of justice system gone wrong. I don't know if because they didn't know what to do with him, didn't know what to charge him with. This had been his second time in prison at this point. He had been previously incarcerated for hacking in 1988. As well as he had gotten in trouble as a teenager for some of his exploits, which were obviously, because he was underage at the time, were locked or sealed. They're not public knowledge.
I didn't know. I didn't know that War Games was like the back. Like I've seen it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it had any relation to him.
Yeah.
until I saw the article you shared.
Yeah. So sad that Kevin's gone. And we had this, like, I remember growing up. I got into computers probably in around heavily into computers around 2000 or about 97, 98. So he was still in jail when I was, and I remember there was a huge
Hmm.
push to free Kevin. There was free Kevin t-shirts, there were free Kevin posters. I mean, there was always a lot of the forums that I visited at the time were sort of very hacker friendly and very hacker oriented. So they were always had ads on them that said, free Kevin. There was kevinmitnick.com was a website completely dedicated to him and trying to free him.
If I also remember correctly, back in the day, there was a Usenet
Yeah,
dedicated to
there was a
him
Usenet dedicated to him. Yeah.
to get him
Um,
free.
and then subsequently, when he was free, he wasn't allowed to touch a computer. So for 3 years, and actually, Geek with Social Skills, Sean, was telling us today, he was friends with Kevin, that, yeah, he was 3 years, he wasn't allowed to touch a computer, but his lawyer was able to sort of cut that time down because of his need to do his job, because Kevin obviously was a computer security expert,
Right.
and you can't really be that if you can't touch a computer. But I also remember there were some anecdotal stories about him requesting, like, source code be printed out so that he could review it without using a computer.
Oh,
And
okay.
I remember, I vaguely remember, I want to say it was like a CNN interview with him just as he had gotten out of prison, and I feel like he was sitting down in front of like a pile of tractor paper that had code, and he was going through it and highlighting stuff and saying, this obviously could be a vulnerability, and anyway,
Right,
so
right.
it was pretty cool. I remember he was somewhat of a, I kind of think of him kind of like a Robin Hood, like a folk hero, if you will, of modern times. So it's sad to see him go, especially at such a young age. 59 is way too young to go these days. So yeah, if you haven't ever heard about Kevin, or if you've never really read into him or even seen any of his books, I highly recommend you pick it up. If you're
I'm gonna
especially if
have
you're
to. I'm gonna have to check out. I didn't know he wrote books. So I'm gonna have to
yeah,
check out his books.
yeah, and it's all cybersecurity oriented, and because that's what his business was. He was a cybersecurity guy, and that's his Mitnick Security was his company. And yeah, I would imagine they're going to continue on
Mhm.
with his legacy and with his company. Just because this figurehead is gone doesn't mean they shut down the shop. So
It's not.
uh,
It's not. It's not like he went down 3,000
right, it
feet
wasn't
in
like,
the
yeah,
water.
with the Logitech joystick. Um, anyway, too soon. Too soon. But yeah, so it was sad days for tech. So that was sort of my little thing I wanted to talk about before we got into some of our topics for this evening. Was a little little eulogy, if you will, of Kevin.
Mhm.
There's some fantastic facts. I've got a few facts about Kevin. Let's see. His call sign on ham radio was N6NHG. So he was a big ham radio guy.
Mhm.
Um, he was one of the first people to start to clone cellular phones. So he would often clone his the SIM cards, I guess, or he's one of the first people to sort of do that. Um, he broke into DEC's computer network at the time and stole all their software. That was in 1988. That's what actually got him his
His first
12
conviction. Yeah.
first conviction of 12 months. And Mitnick gained authorization to a computer network in 1979 at the age of 16 when his friend gave him a telephone number for ARC, the computer system that DEC used for developing and operating their systems. And he subsequently broke into it. And copied the company's cybercrime, which he was charged and convicted. Sorry, it wasn't charged and convicted until 1988. So that was wow. That took him a long. It was almost 10 years before they convicted him. I guess it took them that long to find him. Interesting.
So these are the 3 books that he wrote. Because
Let's,
apparently Frodo Jedi refuses to talk anymore on the podcast,
yeah,
so he's just gonna type things out.
yep, that's it. I read the real story behind the exploits of hacking, the art of intrusions. I read that one.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to take a look at them. Yeah. Oh, here we go.
his last
His
book
last book,
was, yeah. I think
Ghosts
I actually have that, but I
Online.
don't think I've read it. As you can tell behind me, my bookshelves are not necessarily the most organized of
That sounds.
things.
That one sounds the most interesting. I'd be interested in reading that. I like biography type idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Oh, and um. One thing. Oh, I just wait till you're done.
yeah, and yeah, so there's Free Kevin was always a bumper sticker that was going around. It was a yellow background with black text that said Free Kevin. That was a pretty common one you saw. He was released on January 21st, 2000, and he was officially uh, finished parole on January 21st, 2003.
Okay.
So it's interesting. The big thing was the fact that he was in prison for so long without a trial. And I would imagine if that had happened today, he would probably be much more. I guess there'd be much more publicity about it because I feel like that would have been um, more talked about, I guess, on social media, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
because 1995 and 2023 times have changed a wee bit. So
oh, for
yeah,
sure,
it,
for
it
sure.
would be more plastered out there on like the Twitters and Blue Sky and Facebook and blah 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 blah. And the
Yeah,
list goes on. Yeah.
exactly. And yeah, so he was also famous to saying "to hack the world" wasn't one of his sort of catchphrases, I guess. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I just also found out that he leaves behind a wife and an unborn child.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, his wife is pregnant with their first or second, first child, I guess.
Okay.
Anyway, and if you guys want, there's a movie where Skeet Ulrich plays Mitnick, um, and it is known as Track Down, also known as Taken Down or Takedown outside of the United States. Is based on the book Takedown by John Markoff. It was released in 2004, so it's, I guess, sort of like a crime thriller based on the non-fiction book Takedown: Pursuit of Kevin Mitnick. So I
Mm,
guess it's sort of like a docudrama, if you will.
okay.
Not sure if it's still available, but anyway. So I'm not going to go again. I guess I will let somebody else go
Well, I
next.
just want to touch back on something DJ Craze had asked.
Hack the planet, Sloopy says. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry, it's hack the
Yeah.
planet, not hack the world.
Let me see. He had mentioned. Oh, um, so we were talking about Usenet and stuff.
Yeah,
Um, I didn't even know Usenet was still a thing. I
I,
thought it.
I
I
still
thought
used
it
it.
complete. I thought it completely gone down.
No,
Um,
Usenet is what I use for my legally acquired media.
okay.
Yeah, Usenet is
But
still very active in for certain media requirements.
I'll be honest with you, DJ Craze. If I remember my username from back then, I would be really happy. I'm sorry, I don't remember you.
You don't remember your ICQ number? I still remember mine.
I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for binaries. Gut bomb is exactly what I use them for.
Yeah.
Binaries.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when those were the big things back in the day.
It's called offsite backups. Yeah, I agree, Sloopy. That's exactly what it's called.
Offsite backups.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
there you
I'm
go.
I'm helping somebody with their offsite backups.
I do that through 1337.
Lead
It's like,
lead lead torrents.
yeah, it's a torrent site.
Yeah, see, but torrents are trackable. Usenet is not as trackable.
Let them track me. All
Yeah,
they can
there you
track
go.
is my.
Big bad biologist legally sharing Linux distros. Yes, exactly.
Yes, that's what I use. That's what
I
I'm
think that's
using.
what Linus on Linus Tech Tip said too. He goes, I share my Linux distros with my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you have to talk about, Frank? Now that you're back off the throne?
No, he wasn't on the
Oh
toilet.
no,
Liam
Liam
was
was
being
just
loud.
super loud. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, in fairness, you're
Um,
you're yelling at a microphone outside his bedroom door. Like that's
I am. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I am. Well, normally I have the big headset on, but I told Trina before the stream the cat chewed on the wires today.
Classic cat.
So I ordered a new wireless headset that'll be in tomorrow. So
nice.
What did you order?
yep, Razer something. I don't remember.
Oh,
Cool.
that reminds me.
It's on
I gotta go.
Amazon because it said next day delivery, free next day delivery.
I gotta go to the post office and pick up a parcel tomorrow.
Ooh, what came?
I
What's that order?
think
Oh,
it's.
Razer Nari Ultimate Wireless Headset.
I think it's the adapter for my Mac, my PowerBook, so I can put a SSD in it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so Frank, you're up.
Ryan had pointed out earlier today about a group that's doing new Windows updates for old Microsoft operating systems, Windows 95, NT, 98, ME 2000, and XP. They update the project and the website with new available updates and pages. So I'm going to post the link to that because I thought that was actually quite interesting. It's a community project. So here is the link right here. And the way Ryan had explained it was he thinks
can you do me I'll show that, but can you also share it in the private chat?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right here, that way you can click on it.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thank you.
So basically, they have a little video and stuff on there. But basically, what happens is, from Ryan's understanding of it was, we were discussing this before the stream. You install this, and it removes the built-in Windows update and replaces it with their Windows update, so that it pulls down from their server all the updates, for the operating system that you're running. So that way, you have current security patches and stuff, and can run.
Hold on,
old operating systems.
It's not meant to allow you to run the operating system on the internet. Let's put that out there.
No.
Right.
It's meant to provide you with a way to get all the updates
stability
that are not
stuff,
currently available anymore because Microsoft's taken them down, or you'll manually have to go download the individual hotfixes.
Yeah, because
you should never use an outdated internet connection.
No. This isn't.
Disclaimer.
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 This isn't a patch to start running Windows 95 online.
Actually, what I really find funny is they need to. It's a website for updates that needs to update the website. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see Windows Update version 5 is now available. But if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see Windows Update version 6.
Correct.
Yeah, so they need to update.
I think they just missed it.
It's almost like it's run by a community and not a big multinational billion-dollar corporation.
So basically, what this does is, like, let's say you install Windows 95 or Windows 98 on a laptop or a VM or a desktop or something. You can't just click check for updates, as there is no update server anymore. Yep. So this is just a replacement to another repository of those Windows updates that's not hosted by Microsoft.
Yeah. And I like Gutbomb's suggestion there. It sounds like a great way to get Sub 7. For those of you who don't remember Sub 7, but that was a fantastic way to hack your friends. Anyway, I digress. But yes, I too remember Sub 7, Gutbomb. I too dwelt in that cave.
But I think it's great that somebody has a repository available, so you don't have to go one by one and try and find them and download them.
Yeah, and the big thing is that this originally started as a way to do Windows XP, and it's only now that they've just started offering Windows 95 and 98. They kind of work backwards because they got the. I'm assuming it's an NT thing, so they got XP working, which is NT based. Then they got Windows 2000 working. Then they got NT working, and then they jump back to the actual MS DOS.
98, 95.
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
But I also see they have updates for the actual proper gaming
OS. Yep, Windows 8.1.
No, Vista.
No. Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there that Vista is
now,
a lot better for gaming than 8.1.
Actually, they don't have it for Vista. If you click on that link, it's because Microsoft still provides Windows updates.
Oh, okay.
But you notice they completely skipped ME.
Yes.
For CE.
Yeah. Well, and in fairness, Trina, you were wrong. That is version 6 is actually Microsoft's version 6, not theirs.
Oh, okay.
Theirs is still 5.v5.
It's confusing where it says V6 over on the side. That's all.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
Right?
Yes.
Atari,
Trina,
there we go. Best OS, gaming OS, according to Sloopy Malibu, is Atari
DOS.
I never even heard of Atari DOS. 2.5.
I have Atari DOS on my. I think it's on what I have on my 1200. No,
my van has a V6.
My van has a V6.
And apparently Bruce must be streaming. Because DJ
he usually does that.
Bruce comes on when I'm trying to watch 3 streams.
I guarantee you, Bruce is just recapping something. that you've probably
Yep.
already seen before.
$5 says, yeah, $5 says that's exactly what it is.
I love Bruce. Don't get me
Trina,
wrong, but
Yeah. So what do
what
I
do you
have
got
to talk
going
about? So on Discord and the Vintage Apple subreddit. Yeah, sorry, not Discord.
subreddit.
On Reddit. Okay, it's been a long week. On Reddit in the Vintage Apple subreddit, somebody posted pictures, like they look like they screen grabbed it, of Macworld July 2003, of an article, and I'm going to post the link to the PDF for this, for the Macworld July 2003.
While you're doing that, it appears RetroTech Chris has unfortunately had an infestation of Justin
Oh,
D. Morgan's.
oh yeah, because they're
Uh-oh.
going, they're doing a road trip to the swap meet. I can't remember what
Right.
the swap meet is. Chris, what is the swap meet? What is it? What is the name of that swap meet tomorrow that you and I know Mike of Mike's Mac Shack is going. Steve of Mac 84 is going. We have RetroTech Chris going.
Yeah, there was quite a few people
Justin
going
D.
to the swap
Morgan's
meet.
going. Yeah, I don't know who
So
else.
Hunt Valley.
Yeah, Hunt Valley. That's it.
That sounds like an Elmer Fudd thing.
Right.
I'm hunting wabbits.
That's right.
So anyway, so there's an article. And if you go to page 130 of the PDF, in the link that I shared, it's called, and it's an article by Matt Death Rage. I guess that's the last name. Called
Interesting.
Pentium Envy. And this guy could be a writer for any right-wing blog that he wanted to, because he's basically, the main premise is, in the second paragraph says, in the media, it's usually a pundit or analyst trying to stir up some trouble by gaining publicity. And what he's talking about is the fact that Apple will never go to Intel chips 2 years later, and that they will stick to power PC chips all the time. He's also, I'm just kind of scrolling through here. He mentioned some where they're getting their revenue from. The one thing he does have right in the article is that he mentioned that you'll never see Mac OS X running on a PC, like a Dell or Gateway or whatever at the time.
Right.
Which is fair. They never redid that. They did that back in the 90s. Take a look at Steve's Mac 84 awesome part 1 video of Attack of the Clones or whatever it's called,
Right.
where he talks about the clones, but
I
they never went back
will
to that.
insert though the illegal Hackintoshes were a thing once they moved to Intel.
Yes. Yeah. But that was more of a niche thing.
I know people that ran like I'll give you one the Mighty Car Mods guys.
Yeah.
One of the biggest car YouTube channels. They use Hackintoshes to this day to edit all their videos, and they're very proud of it. So there's still a now it's going to be a lot less now that we've moved to silicon.
Yeah.
But yeah, there I know people that still run them today that are like they go and they build a very bespoke machine, that could easily run Windows 10 or 11, and they put a modified version of OS X on it and stable. I mean, it's not, it's probably not a million people doing it, but
yeah.
It's enough to be noticeable.
Yeah, but it's still kind of I'm not saying a small niche doesn't mean like 10
it's
people.
not.
I'm saying
it's not something. It's not something Apple is monetizing. Is the thing.
No,
and that's what he meant. That's what he mentions in the article is the fact that he's saying Apple will never take a licensing fee from a clone system again, which is true. They will never will.
No, and they never will. And I totally agree with him. But his main thing is that Apple's going to lose a lot of money by going over to Intel. It will sink the company. And everybody that is telling you this is fake news.
Right.
Sound familiar? And then if you scroll up, it's really weird. So they put the first page of this article on well, technically page 138 or 128 of the magazine or 130 of the PDF. And then in order to see the other part of it, you had to go back a page to read the rest of it. And I love like the closing end of this where it says, let me see here. All this Pentium envy isn't being generated for betterment of Mac users. Its purpose is to make Apple fit someone else's narrow worldview. Don't let them get away with it. Like what?
That's a very strong opinion.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh yeah. He and actually, if you and I did try to find, it's oh, they did spell his name right. Okay. Um, he published another article which I did try to find, but I like Googled his name in the article and I couldn't plus the article name and I
Mhm.
couldn't seem to find it, which was get used to disappointment, which was advice for people who want Apple technology on commodity PCs, which never happened. So, but I was interested to see his take on that and what his talk was going to be. But yeah,
I mean, like I said previously when we talked about this before, it's
hmm
hindsight is always 2020, right? Like we know where
Mhm.
Apple went.
right,
I always use an example as the 1990 film Pirates of Silicon Valley. At the end of that movie,
Yeah.
it literally finishes, and it's the announcement where Steve Jobs is coming back to Apple, and it's where he has Bill Gates on the big screen, kind of looking down like Big Brother, and that's where they end the movie because this literally happened, 6 months prior to the movie finishing.
right,
So the question they always said at the end of the movie is kind of like, well, what's going to happen to Apple, right? Like,
hmm
is Apple done? Right now,
right,
obviously, we look back at it and go, well, no, Apple wasn't done. This was the
Yeah.
beginning of a multi-trillion-dollar company. However, at the time, I would say a good 50% of people that liked Apple would have said, no, this is definitely the end of Apple. Like, Apple
Mhm.
they will be bankrupt within 6 months, a year.
Same thing with Michael Dell's observation, where he said the best thing Apple can do is close up shop and give the money back to the shareholders.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
Because they won't amount to anything.
at the time, that was definitely
looking
our
very very feasible. Yeah,
yeah,
Sure.
right. Like that was a definite option, right?
Hmm.
Now, obviously, we know differently, but at the time, based on the information they had, this probably seemed like a logical thing. However, I will note this article came out in 2003.
hmm
Apple moved to Intel in 2005.
and they
Apple
were
obviously,
probably we were talking about this pre-show, um, and I'm thinking by July, which is pretty much halfway through your year or a little
yeah,
over, they were probably already prototyping them by that point.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say. And the fact that it wasn't like Apple has many leaks. They are not a completely, leak-proof ship. We'll say, especially back in those days.
Yeah,
Um, I would find it hard to believe that anybody close to the company wouldn't have already had caught wind that they were moving away from PowerPC
Hmm.
by the mid of 2003.
see,
I wouldn't.
this is where we need Garth in the chat. He was
Right.
with them at that
He was
time.
there.
Yeah,
Right. So I'd argue that if this person had done their proper due
due diligence.
diligence,
Yeah,
they probably, but again, maybe the due diligence he was hearing were all these people saying, oh, that reporter said it, but then maybe that reporter got it from an actual Apple employee, right?
yeah.
Maybe they can't say their source because that Apple employee is afraid of being
Well,
fired for
because yeah, right.
non-disclosure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say, you know, it was probably still up in the air whether or not they were going to do it, but anybody who worked at Apple at the time probably knew they were going to do it.
They had
Yeah,
Rhapsody for time the whole time. Yeah,
right. And OS X was already out. Like this is 2003, so
yeah.
Hmm.
we were in Tiger at this point, weren't we? Or we were in Jaguar still. Uh, so I mean, it was pretty obvious that the involvement of Next OS to Mac OS was pretty evident.
hmm
So I would say, I don't know. But again, like we talked about before, when people are so indoctrinated and so fanboyish, like go try to talk to someone about how terrible Teslas are that owns a Tesla.
Right.
You might as well be speaking Swahili because they will not listen to you. Even if you show them all the empirical data that shows that they
Yep.
are worse for the environment in some ways than others, and how the mines are run by children. And anyway, no, they won't view it because they have bought into the cult of Elon. And nobody that at this time in 2003, there was the cult of Steve. Like people were
hmm
they were willing to die for Steve, right? So yeah, talk to Louis Rossman. He knows bad there. Yeah. Lewis is a good fella. But at the time, there were people who were like, I grew up Apple, I will die Apple, and Apple will never ever talk to Wintel. That was the enemy. That was like Frodo going and siding with
Sauron,
Mordor, right? Like it's not going to happen. It
Well,
can't.
it's funny how you can add apples to Windows domain server.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was always interoperability. There had to be, because they couldn't just be islands upon themselves. They had to have some interoperability. OS X, I think, does a lot better job of that interoperability.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, to say that that moving to Intel was never going to happen, especially with what I would assume would have been information that was flying around at the time.
Yeah, that was the main reason I brought this up. Is the guy is just adamant left, right, and center that this is not going to happen. Apple's going to sink, and they're going to lose a shoot ton of money.
You also have to look at, like, Apple came out with the G5 Tower roughly around this time. The last of the big boys, we'll say. The power consumption alone on those things, not emitting just even the heat that came off them, which is part of the power consumption issue, was astronomical, right? Like, so I think they knew that they had to find something more economical, because.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that, because people on Reddit were in the comments, and they said, and that was one of the reasons that they said they could never have a G5 laptop because of the heat problem.
Yeah, it'd burn people, especially when it's all aluminum. Jesus, like, you'd be like frying your thighs. Right?
Yeah. So they said they had no option. Like, the writing was on the wall by that point, pretty much, that we can't come up with a heat reduced processor that's decent.
Well, that's no different than tell people in the mid 2000s there that Novell wasn't going to be used in schools anymore.
Right.
That was another one where every school had Novell, it seemed like.
we still use Novell at work, and they've been talking for like 20 years about getting rid of Novell. So yeah.
Well, I can't say anything. At Milan Pharmaceuticals, when I was there in 2014, 15, they just got rid of Lotus Notes.
Oh, we still use Lotus Notes
and switched to Office 365.
Yeah, so we actually had a company that came in and was looking at
legal kept saying that Lotus Notes email was way more secure than anything available out there on the market. So that's why they kept it so long.
You know why it's so
they
secure?
They still use it on the Blackberries.
You know why it's so secure? Because nobody even bothers to try to hack it.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's such a small part of the narrative.
Half of the hackers will be like, "What's Lotus Notes?"
And the other half will be like, "That's too easy."
Yeah.
But yeah,
a Domino server.
We're only using it for like a database.
Yeah.
And we had a company that came in and was like, "Okay, we'll move all these databases over," but there are 3 that are so huge that when they came up when the company came back and said, "Here's what it's going to cost to move each of these," we looked at them and said, "We'll get back to you."
Yeah,
I guess it's quite costly to do the 3 of them, so that's why we're still using Lotus Notes.
Well, there's specialized conversion tools, and the companies that make them, they charge a fortune.
Yeah. And that's one of these companies that does it. So, and they want to charge an arm and a leg, and I'm like, we look after kids. Give us a discount.
Yeah, these people don't care.
No.
Anyway, so
because I mean, honestly, how many of them are out there still? I'm sure there's actually quite a few, honestly.
I imagine
companies that still use it.
But I'll also argue on the back tick of that is at some point it won't be supported at all, and you're going to have to pay twice, if not 3 times.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because it's going to be
IBM when IBM has IBM Notes, so like it's not even labeled as Lotus Notes or Domino Server anymore. It's IBM Notes, and actually, I think they finally retired it. IBM itself finally retired it.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, no doubt on that.
I've got a copy of Lotus in a box somewhere here. I keep it every now and then. You'll need it.
Lotus 1-2-3.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was the most popular. Lotus 1-2-3
for DOS.
No, it's for Windows 98, 2000, and XP.
Okay.
It's one of the last. It's the Symphony kit, I think it's called. So it's got Lotus, Lotus Notes, Lotus 1-2-3, the database program, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
and some sort of picture editor. But okay, cool. So is that everything, Trina? Or are we?
Yeah, that I think we've hashed it out. We just,
Okay.
I mean, he was, as I said,
People in the hit past were stupid.
yeah.
Okay, so Lotus
As
Symphony
I
came
oh, sorry.
with Lotus Documents,
Yep.
Lotus Spreadsheets, Lotus Presentations, and a web browser that was based on Firefox.
Right.
Oh, cool. What's
So there you go.
what's the web browser called?
I
Symphony.
don't know. It just says a web browser.
I think it's called Symphony.
Okay.
So it could be Symphony.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering
wouldn't be
if it's still.
Yep, a web-based version of Symphony called Lotus Live Symphony was launched in 2011. So yeah,
Does
that
it
sounds
still,
right.
I mean, 2011 is not. I'm gonna sound. 2011 is not that old or
That's
long
not that
ago.
long ago.
They still had service packs and things like that into November of 2012. So for Lotus 123.
No. I'm looking for the Lotus Symphony web browser. I want to see if it's still supported. It'd be interesting just to give it a try.
Man, I miss Netscape. I really wish they would
Oh, the
make
final
new versions.
So it came out in 2007.
Mhm.
Its final release was 2012.
November 2012. Yeah.
Yeah, November 2012.
Well, there you go.
The preview release, which is interesting. Initial release was 2007. The preview release, which was 3.0 beta 4, was August 2010, August 26, 2010.
Yeah.
And then they pulled the plug 2 years, a little over 2 years later, because it was November 29th, 2012 was their final release.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
it's one of
shame.
those things. Everybody was doing a bespoke Firefox, or at the time bespoke
Yeah.
Mozilla. And,
Well, that's because they put the source code out there and everybody could do it.
Well, yeah.
and so you know, at that point, people realized there's really only 3 competitors. We might as well just pick one: Chrome, Edge, or Internet Explorer. Like pick
Or
Safari.
or Safari if you're on the
On a
Mac.
Mac, yeah.
Yeah.
Safari is the #1 Mac OS or Mac web browser for downloading another web browser.
Same with Edge / Internet Explorer. Yeah.
Now, in fairness,
Okay.
I actually use Edge fairly regularly because it's just Chrome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Right? It's just Chromium.
So IBM says no longer published IBM Notes at all. So so Lotus Notes went to IBM Notes, and IBM Notes is no longer published.
Yeah.
So it's completely gone at this point.
Yeah. My mother-in-law used Lotus 123. It was like her favorite thing in the whole world. She begrudgingly uses Excel. But yeah. So yeah, the only other thing that I want to talk about today, well, there's 2 things. I have a tech tip.
Awesome.
But I also have a cool project that Michael MDJ, for anybody, or MJD, did a little video on this past week, and I thought I'd share it with you guys in case you haven't watched the video. So everybody knows of the Old Net, which is basically a repository of old websites that it's bolted onto the way back machine or archive.org to pull up old versions of the web. Well, somebody went a little step further, and they've developed what's known as ProtoWeb, or the ProtoNet, ProtoWeb. Sorry. So I'm going to share the link here in the chat. I think I can share it myself because I got the chat window open up here. There we go. Protoweb.org. So ProtoWeb is this awesome service that allows you to set up a machine, a main machine, so a machine on your network that's on the internet, and then using proxies allows you to access the old internet from a retro computer, which is also on your network. So it allows you through.
Now,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
No, go ahead.
Is this the one that uses the proxy and takes like a photo?
No, this is actually pulls it live from. They've gone back and they've basically rebuilt several thousand original websites from time areas, and basically, like, have you ever loaded anything from archive.org and there's like pictures missing and there's well, they've gone and basically they found those pictures.
Oh wow!
That's awesome.
So you can actually
built the pages.
They built the pages. So like if I show you, I'm going to share the screen.
Cool. Sorry. Ryan, can you also share the link in the private chat so I can click on it?
Oh, Trina,
Oh,
you can't
yeah,
just
hang
type
on.
out protoweb.org.
I'm lazy,
That's too many letters.
right?
Oh my goodness.
It starts
Sorry, I
with.
was already on there. There you go.
It's already in there. I shared it earlier.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, so it is. Oh, well,
Jesus Christ.
She needs to use the proto web to go back and look at
It's your
the chat history.
first day, is it, Trina?
yeah,
First day with
exactly.
your new brain. So yeah, they currently use a couple of different proxy servers, but basically it allows you to run a little application on your on a Windows machine or a Mac or a Linux box that will act as a proxy on your network for other retro machines to connect to. And they also have a list somewhere. I'm trying to find it here. A list of I thought they had a list of the websites they've actually rebuilt. I think actually I have to go to. Is it Wayback dot? I think it's Wayback dot. Seed. This is not safe. You're not gonna let me do it. Gosh darn it. Anyway, the other cool things that they've done is depending on the port you use, port 7851 will give you a T1 equivalent connection, but 7856 will give you a 56K equivalent connection.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then on top of that, one of the things they've done a really, really good job of, which is the most exciting part of this whole endeavor, is they've also recreated a bunch of FTP sites that existed back in the day with working files. So basically, you can go like the old Compaq Hewlett Packard FTP site to get drivers. That works now, and it's
No
just as good as
kidding.
it was back in the day.
That's really cool.
One bit Fever Dreams wondering if he can use a Threadripper 50 gigahertz, I guess 15 gigahertz with 1024 cores to browse the proto web. You can, sure, it'll work perfect. It'll work even better on your Windows 98 machine that you have, though.
That would be terahertz, THZ.
Is it? Oh, is it terahertz?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Sure, go for it. But they had a list of the websites that they had recreated, and I thought maybe it's on their blog.
Oh no! Oh no, that's supported website. I'm trying to see here.
Oh wow, RetroTech Chris is currently featured on the proto web.
Yep. Tester for web browser compatibility.
God love him. Look at him.
Woohoo!
Anyway, I thought it was really cool. It runs really well. It looks like it. Oh, here you go. Partially restored website. So they've done 3DFX, 3D Realms, Compact, Computer Reset, Digital Equipment Corporation, Download.net, Dopefish Lives, E-Machines, Epic Games, Epic Mega Games, sorry, Easy Zone, GeoCities, Happy Puppy, Homestar Runner, Napster, Netscape Home, Mosaic Communication Corporation, Yahoo, Shoutcast. Now, the neat thing with Shoutcast is you can actually use it to listen to current radio. And the same thing with one of the weather websites, also runs modern. So it's an old weather network website, but it runs modern weather information.
Oh, cool.
Like current weather information.
So one bit, all I can say is try everything you want to try. Just record it and make it a video because we'd all be interested.
Can I use my Enoch I found on eBay to prove? I mean, realistically, at this point, toilet paper is, is basically, IP enabled. So maybe 15 terahertz. Wow. So that's 15,000 gigahertz.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what was your tech tip?
Oh, my tech tip was a fun little toy. What's called Ven toy, but it's a fun little utility that I use called Ven toy.
Okay.
The neat thing about Ventoy is it creates a USB bootable USB disk or USB drive, sorry. And then from that, you can just load your favorite ISOs directly as files onto the USB drive, and then it will allow you to boot from from those ISOs directly from the USB drive.
So you
So
don't
it's
have to burn
no,
the
no,
ISO.
no imaging, no nothing. It just literally
Okay.
select the image. So like on this thing, this is currently set up for Ventoy. I have every flavor of Windows from XP onward, and I have and all the subvariants, and I have all the flavors of my modern Linux that I need to use, and yeah, and it does everything.
Interesting. Can
Yeah,
you use it with DMG files of like Mac
I
OSs,
don't
or is
think
it
they support DMG files yet.
okay?
They only support ISOs, WIMs, images, VHDs, and EFI files. So
Hold on,
you're
I'm
so
gonna.
I'm just gonna paste this into the chat here so people can see it.
There, I just muted Frank because he doesn't
Typing
like quiet
furiously.
keyboards. Yeah.
He's gonna unmute himself now and say something saucy. No, he's still muted. See,
Oh yeah, he's still muted and he's like trying to come back with something saucy.
This is a lot quieter than the last one I had. I actually got rid of the other one because it was so damn loud.
Yeah, it was steam powered and use a pneumatic jack.
I had to crank it up first.
Okay, this is a family show. We don't need to know, but you have to crank it up first.
Funny.
Hey now.
But yeah, so Ventoy, it's one of those things. It's like it's really cool, but most people don't know about it for some reason, and I don't know why because it works pretty well. I've only ever had one issue with it, and it was something I was doing. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, highly recommend it. So if anybody's out there doing PC repair or server repair, or just even like having it for your own stuff that you want to, just in your own house, like I
Play
have, like I
around
said,
with.
every version of Windows, and then I also have every version of
Well,
like
technically, you don't have every version of
sorry,
Windows. You don't
every
have Windows 1.
every modern version of Windows. I also have every like a System Rescue CD, the old Hiren CDs from back in the day.
Nice.
And there's another one that I just actually Linus just gave it, shared a video with it, and I got to remember the name of it because I don't remember what it's called. But it's like Hiren's, but the modern version, and it works apparently flawlessly. So let me just talk amongst yourselves while I go try to find the name
Well,
of that.
I can't talk amongst Frank because he's just busy there typing away. So I muted him again. I can imagine it really sucks.
Medicat is what it's called.
Gutbomb had mentioned that he has a Windows 1 setup. It really sucks. I can imagine. But then again, I mean, to be fair to Microsoft in the Windows environment, it's Windows 1. I don't expect perfection right out of the block.
Listen, I don't expect perfection on Windows 11. So
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say. Here we are many moons later and many versions later. This is
Medicat. Their website is currently down because it's been used so often when it comes back. But basically, it's the new version of Hiren's. So it's and the only downside to it, it's 26 gigabytes apparently. So you need a 64 gig jump drive when you go to actually load the image of it on. So just a fair warning.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. At 1-bit, Windows 1 is just lipstick over DOS. I mean, it was up until NT.
And DOS was only lipstick over whatever thing they bought for $50,000.
I think. No, I don't think there was an operating system behind it.
No. I'm just saying they literally went out and bought DOS off a guy for $50,000.
Yeah,
and they turned around and brought it to IBM like a week later and was like, "We will provide this for you." And IBM was like, "Here's $150 million, Microsoft."
Yeah.
And that's how it all began. Pirates of Silicon Valley. Watch it. It's a great movie.
I would. That's the one computer I would love to have is the Lisa.
Why?
Just because it.
Why? So it can be perpetually broken. Sure, you got half a dozen laptops there that are that.
Actually, no. I'm actually selling out of my laptops. Even my part ones are selling, which is amazing. So, and I actually, the guy that I buy them from had texted me like 2-3 weeks ago. Said, "Oh, within 10 days, I'll have another bunch of laptops for you." I'm like, "Sweet." I haven't
Nice.
heard anything, so I don't know.
Nice.
Mm. But yeah, it's 9 o'clock. If Frank's done typing out his memoirs, maybe we can wrap up the show with Frank talking to us.
Yeah.
Hi, Frank.
Frank.
You want to come back, Frank?
Frank.
Sorry, I was talking to some of the ProtoWeb people,
Oh,
getting things in the works. So yeah.
Frank now owns ProtoWeb. Just
yeah,
so
probably.
everybody's
Yeah.
No.
Oh, and
No.
speaking of Frank owning things, so the
No
other day
acquisitions today.
I was on Facebook Marketplace yesterday, I think it was, and there was a bus that they had for sale. And so Ryan and I are going to each throw in $5, and then Frank is going to pay for the rest of it, and then
And-
we'll just drive around to conventions in it. It's this massive bus thing. So
It was nice. Now the only other thing, it also gives Frank a place to live when his wife kicks him out of the house for buying a
Mhm.
It's
bus.
true. It's true.
And then you can literally
But
live in the bus down by the river.
Well, the only stipulation is I would have to get a double-decker bus because of the amount of computer
Right,
equipment I have.
yeah. Well, I'm
would
sure,
have to be a
I'm sure we can
double-decker.
throw a trailer or two behind it. We could do a mobile.
That's true. You could do a double-decker and a trailer. That's
And
better.
we'll do a mobile computer museum. We'll go to
There
all
you
the
go.
places in the world that
Yes,
don't have.
there
But
you
computers.
go.
and the top level of the double decker can be computer repairs.
Right.
Oh, I'm liking this idea.
And then on top of the double decker bus, we have a series of pop-up tents that we can sleep in.
I'm liking this.
A lot of good ideas here. A lot of good
Anyway,
ideas.
and
In the incubator.
on that bombshell,
Yeah.
it's time to say goodnight. So thank you for
Yeah.
all
So
being here.
thanks everyone for joining. If you haven't, please feel free to subscribe, leave a like, do all that good YouTubey stuff. That helps get us out there so that people like DJ Craze is like, wait, what is this?
That's right.
Then he'll know for next week.
And yes, Gut Bomb, they did buy a CPM clone. That's correct.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That is
and on
true.
that cheerful bombshell, we're going to end. So I thank everybody for being
Start a
here.
GoFundMe for the bus.
So and Eric's age, I think
Yes.
it's just pledged 95% of our goal.
Perfect.
That's right. We're gonna have one of those old school PBS telethons.
Yeah.
Operators are
and we're
standing
gonna-
by.
We're gonna pimp Eric out to be Santa Claus. So we'll use
That's
it
right.
in a series of Santa Claus parades, and charge small communities a fortune to run a parade for them. It'll be a whole system. It'll be great.
All right. Have
It's
a
gonna be
good night,
huge.
everyone.
Good night.
Are we
Thank
doing
you
an
all.
after
We
show
appreciate you. If anybody wants to join, yeah, sure.
thing?
Correct.
Eric.
Eric, I don't know. All right, I'm going to end the broadcast, but we are going to put a link in the
We're
chat.
now on a list, by the way.
Good reason to go to VCF Midwest.
I'm gonna put a link in the chat here so people can join if they want to hang out
do it.
after the show.
Link it.
All right, just gotta scroll it here because we talk a lot.
No.
We do talk a lot.
I know we do. All right, have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week.
Yep.
10
Have a
back
great
time,
night,
10 back
everyone.
channel.
Thank you.